Hey everyone, welcome back. This is another quick update on the war in Ukraine. So, as we know, Lysychansk has fallen. The Russians have taken Lysychansk. And yesterday there was an announcement by Zelensky where there was some denial about Lysychansk falling. He said something to the extent that Lysychansk has not fallen. There is fighting on the outskirts of the city, but that doesn't make sense to me. If there's fighting on the outskirts of the city, then how has it's fallen. The city has fallen. This is a pro-Ukrainian map. This is Lysychansk. If any soldiers, pockets of resistance are remaining in these areas inside here, I can guarantee the Russians have already set up checkpoints, lines of defense, and like I said in the last video, unless your last name is Bond and your first name is James, you're not making it out of here. You can try to pretend like you're a civilian, but the Russians are pretty good at these games by now. You're pretty much gonna have to surrender or fight to the death, or I don't know, decide whatever you want to do. But anyways, today the Russians have claimed that when they took Lysychansk, that 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers died in the fight for Lysychansk, and that 5,000 or so were injured. So that's 7,000 casualties that the Ukrainians sustained for Lysychansk. That's according to the Russians. So I mean, if you consider the fact that they lost Severodonetsk, right? And then 1 week later they lost Lysychansk. So in a 2-week period, they lost these two cities, these two twin cities. I mean, that's pretty devastating for them, right? And to lose that many soldiers. Anyways, if you look at the map for today compared to yesterday, you can see that the line is straightened out. The front line is straightened out. I believe it looked like this anyways, but now the map is basically showing us that the line has straightened out. So anyways, the Russians are already, doing what they usually do, bombing positions, poking and prodding, conducting reconnaissance, and the areas to look out for now, the main areas that are going to be contested are going to be Seversk. See here, Seversk. So you're going to hear about Seversk in the news probably. And then there's going to be Bakhmut. Bakhmut is another important front. Bakhmut, Krasnahora, which is a pretty interesting name, Soledar, which sounds Spanish. But yeah, these are going to be important checkpoints. I mean, to the south, it's kind of funny because the Russians are like a few kilometers away from New York. You see, this is the Ukrainians, they renamed this area to New York for tourism purposes, but I mean, the Russians are basically 3 miles away from New York, guys, so you better watch out. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. If you're in New York, you better get out. Okay, so anyways, in terms of what the Russians are going to go for first, are they going to come down from Izium, where they've been building up forces for quite a while, and go down towards Sloviansk, or go for Seversk first, or go for Bakhmut first, New York next? Well, honestly, we just don't know. But if I were to say, I would think that what the Russians are going to do is that they're just going to continue to do what they're doing. I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The Russians, in terms of artillery, in terms of sheer firepower, they outnumbered the Ukrainians 10-1. In some areas, at least 20-1. So what they're going to do is the Russians are going to keep pounding Ukrainian positions with artillery. And it's really demoralizing when for every 10 shells that come your way, you can only fire back 1 shell, or for every 20 shells, you fire back 1 shell. I mean, how can you stand up to that? You just can't, right? And a lot of these soldiers now in the Ukrainian army, they are conscripts. They're mostly made up of conscripts. Even in the BBC, we saw a report a few days ago where they were riding along with an elite Ukrainian unit. One of the members said that his unit had sustained casualty rates of 80%. And then another interview a few weeks ago, one Ukrainian conscript said that all of the soldiers are now conscripts. All of the professional soldiers have died or are injured. So they're casualties, right? So that's what happens when when there's a disparity of firepower of 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. That's what happens. And if you remember, like 2 months ago, the UK Defense Ministry was saying that the Russians are going to run out of bullets, they're going to run out of artillery, the Russians are going to run out of missiles. Well, no, they're not running out of missiles anytime soon. They're not running out of artillery. I mean, they're not dummies, guys. These guys, I mean, it's a professional army. The Russians have contingency plans. I mean, if you have 1,000 missiles, you're not just going to launch 1,000 missiles at random positions and then that's it, right? You're going to ration them out, launch them gradually to maximize their effect, right? And you're going to hit the best targets that you can possibly hit, right? So not only, I mean, the Russians, I think the Europeans have really underestimated the Russians, their capacity, because not the US, but when NATO attacked Libya a few years back, remember when they were fighting Muammar Gaddafi's forces, NATO countries like France sent in their air force. Even during Libya, they were running out of precision munitions. Some NATO countries were running out of precision munitions for Libya, okay, guys? So that just shows you how unprepared they are. And the fact that they said 2 months ago that the Russians are going to run out of missiles, they can't keep up these kind of fire rates. And the fact that the Russians are not only keeping up the fire rates, but they're now even increasing the amount of missiles they're using, the amount of, like the TOS-1 flamethrower systems, those kind of systems, thermobaric warheads. I mean, what they do, if you look at the footage, is they basically suck up the oxygen when they hit the target from the surrounding area, and anyone in the surrounding area is turned into charcoal. So you basically get boiled alive. You get kebabbed alive if you get hit by that system. So it's very demoralizing, and I mean, all the Russians have to do right now is to just pound away at Ukrainian positions, conduct the reconnaissance, pound away at Ukrainian positions consistently, and keep poking and prodding, right? So come down from this direction towards Seversk, from this direction towards Seversk, right? If they can cross anywhere here, crossings are dangerous, but I mean, if they can cross, or just provide fire support, whatever, even that'll be good enough. Because once they take these areas, then what's going to happen is that once the Russians take the areas by this river, then the Russians can safely cross anyways, right? So they can provide fire support till then, if they don't want to even take a risk, right? But yeah, I mean, it seems like the Russians are just going to keep pounding away at the Ukrainians and keep poking and prodding, and whenever they see an opening, they pour in their troops, right? Now, when the Ukrainians reinforce the opening, or reinforce that position, that position stiffens, it becomes hard, or you have to sustain a lot of casualties to go towards that position. Then the Russians simply stop again, and then they pound Ukrainian positions again for a few days or a few weeks, whatever it takes. They poke and prod again, and it just seems like the Russians are poking and prodding everywhere, right? If you look, the Ukrainians, it seems that they're really targeting this area here. I mean, if you look at this map, the area labeled in dark red, This is the area of the Donbass that the Russian separatists controlled before the war. So before the war, the Russians controlled Crimea and this area of the Donbass. Now, after taking Lysychansk, what has happened is that the Luhansk People's Republic, you see the city of Luhansk, so the Luhansk People's Republic now controls 100% of the territory which they claim. All the remaining territory in the Donbass, which the Russians are going to go for, is what the Donetsk People's Republic claim. So anyways, this is the city of Donetsk. And the Ukrainians are really shelling these areas. They're hitting these, you can see this right here, explosions at railway station. If we take a look at this, if we, I'll just show you the footage. So I don't know what that lady's saying, but basically you can tell by the sounds that it's some kind of incendiary effect, like ammo. It's like an ammo storage, or bullets are going off, or explosions are constantly going off because they hit an ammo storage facility, or they hit a railway that was transporting ammunition. And the ammunition's constantly going off, which is really dangerous. But anyways, that's what you hear in that video. So the Ukrainians, they are targeting Russian positions, right? And these areas are right by, the Ukrainians are right here, right? A mile or two away, so it's easy for them to target these positions, right? But anyways, I don't know why the Ukrainians are specifically targeting this area. Maybe they want to draw the Russians away from the area where the fighting is the most intense. They want to just draw the Russians' attention away. Look, I'm sure the Russians want to take these areas. I'm sure there will be offensives in these areas soon. But, like I said, if you were to ask me how it's going to go, it's very likely that in the near future, it's going to go something like this. The Russians are going to take Seversk. Okay? So you see Seversk. Now pretend the blue is red, so Seversk is taken. Okay. Now, if they take Seversk and the front straightens out even more, right? So the bulge that is Seversk, the salient of Seversk is taken. Then the M103 is obviously the next target. The M103. The Russians already have troops at Izium, right? So they're just gonna go down from here. And on the other side from Krasnohora and Bakhmut, they go up, and once they take the road, basically, then the map will look something like this, obviously, right? What am I doing? Just 1 second, guys. Just give me 1 second. So let's try this again, okay? So, Seversk. If Seversk falls, right? When Seversk falls, right? Next target is the M103. The Russians take the M103. The map will look something like this. right? So pretend the blue is red. All right, and then what the Russians are going to do is it's all going to come down to Kramatorsk. And then all these little settlements here. And then, up from New York and all these other settlements right here where there's heavy Ukrainian entrenchments. Anyways, at the end, the map might look something like this. Might look something like this. And then once the Russians have basically, taken the entire Donbass area that they want. I mean, right now we're at the beginning of July, right? So July, August, and September it usually gets colder, starts to rain. Rain is not good for tanks, I'll tell you that. But, so you might see the Russians take a break then, but the question is, are the Russians going to go on a winter offensive? And if they take the entire Donbass in the next 2 months, then if Ukraine doesn't want to negotiate, what's next? Because a lot of people are saying that, well, after that, the Russians are going to go for Mykolaiv, and then they're going to want to go for Transnistria, which is a breakaway enclave of Moldova. So Transnistria is the territory right here, and it's officially, globally recognized as a part of Moldova. But I believe Russia recognizes them, maybe another 1 or 2 countries. But anyways, it's a breakaway enclave, and they want to join Russia really badly. They're nostalgic for the Soviet Union. Their flag has the hammer and sickle on it. Okay, so and there's a few thousand Russian peacekeeping troops already here in Transnistria. So here's the thing. Obviously, you would think the Russians are going to want to take Transnistria, connect to Transnistria, cut off Odessa, right? And then when Odessa's cut off, well, that's just a matter of time, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to want to make the map look something like this, right? And then, when Odessa's cut off, again, it's just going to be a matter of time. And when the Russians connect to this area, that's like 4,000 to 6,000 troops that are now going to be freed up, that can now help them go on the Odessa offensive, or just do backup work, whatever. But still, it's going to be it's going to be very helpful. So they're going to want to link up with Transnistria, cut off Odessa. Maybe not quite like this, maybe like a quarter of this. In any way they can connect to Transnistria and cut off Odessa, that's fine for them. That's what they want to do. And once Odessa's surrounded, then it's just going to be a matter of time. But here's the thing. In the next 2 months, if winter comes around and the Russians have only taken this area, if they've taken the Donbass, and their troops are all around here, the question is, will they go on a winter offensive? Or will they, maybe if they can do this maybe within the next couple of weeks, who knows, then maybe to get all the territory near Odessa, they might just say, hey, you know what? All our troops are here, and there's a few weeks left. You know what? We're going to use all these troops to just surround Odessa. Because Odessa is the second largest city in Ukraine. Kiev is obviously the capital. Kiev, but 3 million population, right? Kharkiv is 1.5 million. So if the Russians can surround this city, it's going to be and it's really close to the Russian border, and they already have an area established around here, right? So, if they take the Donbass, I don't know. The only question I would have is, are they going to just set up defensive lines and then leave Kharkiv alone and then just go for Odessa and go for this area? Or are they going to just maybe focus on Kharkiv? Or maybe they will leave Kharkiv alone and take Odessa, and then after that, I mean, imagine they take the Donbass and they take this entire area near Odessa and they take Odessa, right? So then, if the Ukrainians don't want to surrender, what happens then? Well, then obviously the next targets are going to be Kharkiv. It's near the border. They already have troops here. If they can cut off Kharkiv, I mean, if they've taken all this territory and they can cut off Kharkiv, I mean, if the Ukrainians don't want to negotiate, then I don't even know what to say. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you've listened thus far, please like and subscribe, and I will definitely see you in the next one.